All right, learner. Are you ready for a deep dive
Absolutely.
into a world of ambition?
Illusion.
And let's face it,
Yeah.
those little white lies we tell ourselves.
Well, yeah.
We're going to early 20th century Bengal
Okay.
with this short story, Satish.
And this is a fascinating look at a society really on the cusp of change, where dreams of a better life often clashed with very difficult realities.
Yes. This story really got me thinking about, I think we all do this, right?
Yeah.
Like how we present ourselves to the world, and especially when, our aspirations bump up against reality.
Right, and Satish does such a good job of weaving those themes of, ambition and sort of societal pressures and realities into the very fabric of this narrative.
Yeah.
So we're not just reading about ambition, we're seeing it play out, through his interactions with his village, and most importantly, I think, himself.
Right, and right from the get-go, right? We meet Satish, and he's leaving his village.
Right.
He's heading off to the big city, Karachi, to be exact.
Yeah.
With these dreams of becoming a pilot.
It's huge.
All very exciting, full of promise. At least that's the story that he's telling everybody.
Of course. And the villagers eat it up.
Yes.
I mean, you have to remember, this is a time when air travel is still very new.
Right.
It's very novel. It's a symbol of progress.
Modernity.
Modernity. A pilot.
From our village.
From their humble village.
Yes.
Now, that's a story to be proud of.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone's picturing him, in his uniform soaring through the clouds.
With the trail of rupees following behind him.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's just so interesting how the story highlights this almost tangible shift in perception.
Yes.
Suddenly Satish isn't just the son of a nobody.
Right.
He's Satish, the pilot in training.
Yes.
A shining example of what a village boy can achieve.
Oh, yeah. And you can practically hear those rupees.
Oh, yeah.
Clinking together in everyone's ears.
Yeah.
They're calculating those potential earnings.
Yeah.
They're planning how his success is going to elevate their own social standing. It's like they're living vicariously through this kid.
It speaks volumes about, I think, the aspirational nature of the time, but also just those very real economic anxieties that, I think plagued middle-class Bengali society at the time.
Yeah.
Becoming a pilot wasn't just about prestige.
Right.
It represented upward mobility, a way to break free from, the constraints of their current circumstances.
Exactly. And, for a while, Satish is eating it up.
Of course.
He's basking in all of that reflected glory. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He disappears for a while.
Okay.
And when he resurfaces, his story takes a bit of a turn.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where I think the author's brilliance really shines through, because instead of just giving us, a straightforward account of Satish's life, we experience it through these fragmented encounters, these little snapshots of him whenever he graces the village with his presence.
Right. It's like piecing together a puzzle. Except some of the pieces might be from a different box.
Exactly.
Karachi becomes Calcutta pilot training. Becomes, that part's a little murky.
Yeah.
1 minute he's talking about, navigating by the stars.
Right.
And then the next, he's hinting at some desk job with the railway.
And you start to see those cracks in this facade that he's very carefully constructed, right? Remember those villagers who were so eager to bask in his reflected glory?
Yeah.
They're still hanging on his every word.
Right.
But their questions are getting a little more pointed.
Yeah.
Their doubts are a little more palpable.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Didn't you say you were practically flying solo by now?
Right.
But Satish, he's a master of deflection.
Oh, yeah.
He starts spinning these yarns about these near-death experiences in the air, lightning strikes, engine failures.
Of course.
Just enough to make your hair stand on end.
It's classic overcompensation.
Yeah.
I mean, the less secure he feels about what he's actually accomplished, the more outlandish the stories become, because he's desperate to maintain that image of the triumphant hero.
Yes.
Even if it means, maybe embellishing the truth a little bit, or maybe even outright fabricating it.
And it really makes you wonder, is he doing this just to impress these villagers? Or is there a part of him that's trying to convince himself?
Right.
To escape the disappointment of maybe his own unfulfilled aspirations.
That's the beauty of the story, though, right?
Right.
I mean, it forces us to look beyond the surface and grapple with those complexities of human motivation. I mean, is this guy just a liar?
Right.
Or is he a victim of circumstance? Is he a product of a society that puts so much emphasis and value on outward success.
Yeah, and it's these little details that the author uses.
Yes.
Like Satish's insistence on describing all of his travels throughout Bengal.
Right.
Even though his supposed job is keeping him in Calcutta.
Right.
It's like he's trying to create this aura of worldliness. You know?
Yeah.
Like he's experienced all these things that are just beyond, his village's comprehension.
Exactly. Geographic distance becomes another tool.
Yes.
That he uses to kind of promote himself.
Right.
The farther he is from the village, both literally and figuratively,
yes,
the more fantastic his stories can become.
It's like he understands that they haven't seen it, so they're more likely to believe him.
Right, exactly.
But here's where the rubber meets the road, learner.
Okay.
Remember how we were talking about those cracks in Satish's story?
Yeah.
Well, they become impossible to ignore when a simple letter arrives from Calcutta.
Oh, the moment of truth.
Yes.
When it all comes crashing down.
Turns out our high-flying pilot, he hasn't exactly been soaring through the skies.
Right.
He hasn't even been stuck behind a desk in Calcutta.
No.
Turns out Satish has actually been living back in his home district.
Wow.
Completely dependent on his uncle's generosity.
Wow. Can you imagine the shock for those villagers when they find this out?
All those stories.
Right.
Bustling city life, the close calls in the air, the impressive salary.
Yeah.
It all just evaporates.
And this is where the story, I think, takes such a poignant turn.
Yes.
Because now we're forced to kind of confront the very human cost of these fabrications.
Yeah.
He's not just a charming rogue, right?
Right.
He's a man who's really trapped by this web of lies that he's created.
Yes.
And he's just, grasping at this validation, this sense of belonging in a society that really seems to value success above all else.
Yeah, you really start to think about the weight of those societal expectations.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like you feel like you have to invent this whole other life just to get a little bit of respect.
And I think, the author does such a good job of weaving in, these hints about his family.
Right.
The loss of his mother, that strained relationship with his uncles. We start to see how those experiences might have shaped his worldview.
Right.
His understanding of his place in the world.
It's almost like we're being invited to think about the possibility that maybe he's not just a liar.
Right.
But he's a product of his circumstances.
Yeah.
That maybe these tales were just a way of coping.
Right.
With this grief, with this loneliness, with the expectations that he felt like he couldn't meet.
And that's what I love about the ending.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't give us the answer.
Right.
It doesn't tie it all up in a neat little bow.
It's messy.
It really is.
Which is real life.
Exactly. We're left to kind of ponder.
Yes.
What were his motivations?
Right.
The complexities of truth and deception, ambition and disillusionment.
Satish might be a short story, but wow, does it pack a punch.
It really does.
It really reminds us that the line between truth and fiction can be so blurry.
Yeah.
And that sometimes the most captivating stories are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
Well said, learner. As you encounter, these stories of ambition and success and even failure in your own life,
yes,
remember to look beyond the surface.
Yes.
Consider the circumstances,
but why?
The motivations, the struggles that might be hidden beneath the surface.
Love that.
Because I think only then can we truly appreciate, the complexities of all of us. All of us messy humans just trying to figure it out.
Well, learner, that's another deep dive in the books.
Another one down.
We'll catch you next time.